my name is Emma, this is Emma Rosen Books. I make videos about reading and writing and indie publishing, and in today's video I want to tell you everything that I read during the crazy month that is March. I kind of thought, oh, I'm going to read loads and loads now, but in some ways it's been made more difficult because although I'm home more, for a start I'm not ferrying the kids around here, there and everywhere and listening to audiobooks sometimes while I do it, depending on where I'm going. Like if I'm walking somewhere, then I might listen to an audiobook, like if I'm going to walk to pick them up somewhere, if you know what I mean. So that's lost. And also because we're trying to fit in our work around having the children around, there's kind of less free time because it's either doing something productive, whether it's work or like householdy stuff, or dealing with the kids. So having time to read, like, as I say, you'd think that there'd be more time, but actually not really. Anyway, how are you? Have you found time to read? You know, how's things? Let me know in the comments. I hope you're all doing okay and you're all well, and, you know, take care of yourselves and all of that. So the kids are outside, sorry if you can hear them kind of screeching about and that. But I can't get silence for videos at the moment. I'm trying to just keep to my one video a week. I kind of wanted to up it to 2 videos, but I don't think that that's going to be possible with the kids around to get it filmed, edited, uploaded. Plus we have rubbish internet at the moment, so the uploading takes forever. So anyway, such is life. So what have I read this month? You can follow me on Goodreads. Sorry, I'm fiddling. You can follow me on Goodreads where I talk about the books as I read them. Also on Instagram I tend to talk about them, so if you're interested on like a real time thing, then you can follow me on there if you want. Right, the first book that I read this month was White Shark by Peter Benchley. So I picked this up secondhand at like a community event that I was at, because I've read Jaws. I really like Jaws. I think it's really well written and it's just good. I read it last year actually. I mean, that was a reread. I've read it before. And I've seen the film and, you know. So I picked this up. Wow, this is a different book. So I was expecting more of the same, you know? Some kind of set somewhere, there's a big shark, people get eaten, no, you'd think white shark. There's gonna be a white shark, you'd think. But this is a very different kind of book. So let me just read you a tiny bit of the synopsis. I'm going to paraphrase a bit because I don't want to read the whole thing. So, there's something in the water, but this time, it's not what you think. That's true. So there's a character called Chase. He's a marine biologist. His son's hanging out with him in Connecticut. So he's studying species. With his young son, he begins to notice strange behaviour among the creatures of the sea. Something in the ocean is throwing off the balance of nature. Then the body of a diver washes ashore. When more victims are discovered, Chase realises that while the killer resembles a white shark, it is far more dangerous and malevolent than any shark he has encountered before. Now, I did not read the synopsis. I just went, white shark, going to be a shark, cool. So this book, when it started off, I was like, oh yeah, you know, I like this style of writing. We've got the marine biology, and I just was kind of into it. I don't mind, I don't like horror, but I kind of don't mind monster books. So I don't mind that like people are getting eaten. It's pacey, it's, you know, I don't find the whole concept, like when I go diving or swimming, I'm not like, oh, the sharks, because I've read these books, I'm fine with it. So yeah, was enjoying it. And then it got a whole kind of weird where I was like, okay, this is not what I thought this book was going to be. So the book starts out that I'm going to give a few spoilers, but I'll keep it like you can still read this, you know, because I'm going to give you spoilers that hopefully are obvious. So the book starts out with a U-boat sinking. That's like the first chapter, and there's a weapon on board, and then it then moves to modern day Connecticut, and there's marine biology things happening, like I said, and then the two things are going to merge. Obviously, you expect that they're going to link, otherwise it would be a bit strange starting with the U-boat thing. So you get the merging of the thing hidden in the ship with modern day. I'm just going to say, basically Nazi shark, but so much weirder than that, okay? So much weirder. So there's that. The fact that the monster in this book is crazy. The way that they destroy the monster, and obviously they're gonna, it's obvious that that's gonna happen, right? So the way that they win is just it's ridiculous. This book is very silly. My review of this is that it's it's like the Meg in terms of it's stupid. There were points where I was just basically swearing at this book, going, come on. I think especially because what I expected was something that was quite like factual, like Jaws is, you know. It's like the Meg, but it's well written because Peter Benchley is a good writer, whereas I can't remember who wrote the Meg, but the Meg is very silly. So yeah, yeah, I enjoyed it. I've got to say I enjoyed it. It was funny. I don't think it's meant to be funny. So if you fancy a very odd book and you quite like Jaws, you know, give it a go, but this is not the same as Jaws, okay? So I read that. Then it was World Book Day. My God, that seems so long ago. I was like going out and doing school visits and now the schools are closed. Anyway, for World Book Day, my son got this because he'd read the Boy at the Back of the Class, and this was like the World Book Day freebie one. So with his voucher, he picked this up, and because I'd read the Boy at the Back of the Class, and then he lent me this. So I gave this a read. So The Day We Met the Queen by Anjali Q. Ralph, I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry, I know I've totally butchered that. So this is where the characters in the first book are all going to go and meet the Queen, basically. I like it. I did not like it as much as the main book, basically because this one felt more political. Obviously they're both political, they both have a message about refugees. I think because there's a lot packed into a few pages, it felt more about that. And although, you know, I agree with the things being said that it's important, it's an important issue, and that you know, we've got to think about the way that refugees are perceived and treated, and like I get it, but it just felt, do you only read something and it just feels like it's got too much of an agenda, even though you know it's going to have an agenda. It's just, yeah, just like a teensy bit too much. For me, it's that thing of it breaking you out of the story. Do you know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, well, that's what they're getting at. It was that. Also, the actual meeting of the Queen is a page. And I feel like, you know, it's all about the events leading up to that. And I just, you know, you think you're going to get maybe like a bit of a BFG kind of situation where, like, not with a giant, but where, you know, there's a significant proportion that involves the Queen. And I understand why it doesn't, but it's like, well, it's the day they met the Queen. So the Queen bit surely is significant. Anyway, so yeah, there was that. But it you know, it's still decent. I'm just saying, like, compared to the other book, it's not as good. So, but still, you know, a quick little read, doesn't take long. And if you like the first one, then this is a fun little sort of spin-off book. So yeah, liked it, didn't love it. Then, I forget the order that I read things in. Let's refer to Goodreads. Let me see. Sorry, am I still here? No. Right. Oh yeah, then I listened on audiobook to New Moon. So I read Twilight last month. I'm going to sort of slowly go through the Twilight books because I just feel at the moment, I mean, last month it was because I had a lot on my plate and I wanted to just kind of, you know, not think and just enjoy a story. Now it's obviously because there's a whole load of other stuff going on, so it's a whole different direction. You can see my life update video if you want to get more of a, like, what's going on in my life. But yeah, so yeah, I'm just going to kind of go through them because to me, like, I know that the stories are flawed, I know that the relationships are toxic and all that stuff, but I just find them enjoyable stories. That's all I can say, is that guilty pleasure thing. So in New Moon, Edward leaves Bella quite early on in the book, so that's not a spoiler. He goes off and he goes to live somewhere else, and is like, I don't love you anymore, forget me. She then spirals, and there's a lot of the book of her being sad, and she spends a lot more time with Jacob, And so the Jacob character is developed in this book. And then things happen. But essentially with this book, I mean, yeah, I do enjoy them, they're fun. But with this one, it's like so slow. It's so slow. So yeah, there's that. I'm sorry, I've just noticed someone I know is walking past. Hello. Yeah, it's really, there's just no pace to it, and there's just, yeah, too long. This is the one, of course, that has Emily and, who's the guy, Sam, and the fact that Emily has all the scars because Sam got angry one time and lost control. But, you know, he feels so guilty about it. Is that one? You know, because there are all those things within these books where you're like, oh, that's really not cool. But, yeah, as I say, even though there's the part of me in my head going, really? Really? I still enjoy them. So there's that. As I say, next month I'll probably read another one. So, but I like listening to them on audiobook. I really like the lady who reads them. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I enjoy on audiobook. Sometimes you can't put a finger on that, can you? So I enjoyed that, even though I probably shouldn't. Then I read The Naive and the Sentimental Novelist by Orhan Pamuk. I don't know how to say that name either. And this was a book that the lovely Charlie Heathcote sent to me in the post. He sent me two like writing, how to write kind of books. So, and I've had them sat there, I just didn't want to read any kind of non-fiction stuff really. So yeah, finally got around to reading it. I read the other one last month or the month before, and now I'm on to this one. So this is basically, says that there are two kinds of writers. There's naive writers and there's sentimental writers. And the naive writers just kind of write, basically, in a nutshell. And the sentimental writers overthink everything and analyse everything and you know. The same with readers, basically. So it kind of examines reading and writing within those contexts and how different people construct narratives and what works well and what doesn't, and what, you know, and then about people interpreting it and how. So it's very interesting. So the downside for me is that this is one of those books that references lots of stuff I haven't read, and although I like to think I'm quite well read, I have read a lot of classics and a lot of modern. I've read all sorts of stuff, but I often feel that when I read things like that, it's like you haven't read the right books. Do you know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. So he references Anna Karenina a lot, which I haven't read. I haven't read any Tolstoy. I watched the War and Peace series. I haven't read any Tolstoy. It references like Goethe. I haven't read any Goethe. It references Moby Dick. I did read Moby Dick, so there's that. It talks about like Foucault. I haven't read Foucault. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of, when you read things like that, it's like I don't know, it makes me feel stupid because it's, you know, I haven't read the right books or I haven't got the right kind of education. Do you know what I mean? Like, but, so there's that, but it's similarly to, there was another book I said this about, might even be the other book that Charlie sent me. It's explained well enough that you don't need to have read the things for the most part, but occasionally there's like so-and-so said, blah, 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 and you're like, did they? I don't know. So yeah, there's that, but it's interesting. It's not a long read. The guy has got, you know, a good writing style. He's written other things, which is why he's written this book, but I haven't read anything he's read either. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was thought-provoking, but just made me feel a bit stupid. Only a little bit stupid, but I'm sure you know what I mean. I'm sure that many of you have read books. Well, I've gone out of focus. Many of you have read books that you know, it just, yeah, you know, I'm just not well read enough. Then this month I read Nadia Hussein's Finding My Voice. Now, it smells really nice. This was the only bit of panic buying I did. When I heard the libraries were closing, I was like, what? We might have no libraries for 3 months? You're joking. So I went and got a big stack of books for me, and I also got loads of books for the kids so that we'd have plenty to keep us going during this time. I had like this massive sack. And they're like, can you carry this? Yes, I'm fine. So this was one of the ones that I picked up. So I watched the Bake Off. I think Nadia seemed really lovely, so I was interested. And I think I heard her being interviewed about this, or saw her being interviewed, and I thought her kind of talking about the idea of finding like who she is was just sounded interesting. So she's put, "This is my memoir of sorts. I'm writing this for everyone who was told no. No, you're not rich enough. No, that's not credible. No, you can't. No, you won't. No, you're not allowed. No, that is not appropriate. I was told no, you do not belong. Finally, I am saying, yes, I do." So I thought that sounds great. I really, really enjoyed this. I read this in 2 days. It was one of those where my husband's like, "Are you going to help?" I'm like, "Uh-huh." Yeah, so basically Nadia was born in the same year I was, so same kind of age. And we grew up quite close to each other. So I grew up in a place called Flitwick, shout out if you're from Flitwick, and she grew up in Luton. Now Luton for me was one of the places I would go shopping. I didn't go an awful lot. I did with my mum, but not so much once I was going out shopping on my own, because from Flitwick you could get trains to either Bedford or Luton. You could only get a bus to Bedford. Buses were cheaper, so I would generally go to Bedford. I also preferred Bedford. It had more of the kind of little independent shop kind of things. Luton held its own charm. It had a weird thing in the middle of the Arndale Centre with these flamingos. If you're from Luton, tell me whether I'm right. There was the flamingos display and it flew away. Am I right? So there was like a sculpture and then they changed it so the flamingos were flying and then it wasn't there anymore. Am I making that up? Quite possibly. But Luton had some kind of cool little shops that Bedford didn't, so I'd go every now and again, but we'd have to get the train, and then you had to walk from the train station, which was quite far compared to in Bedford, where the bus station was in the middle of town. What has this got to do with the book? Absolutely nothing. But basically, she grew up in Luton. It's a place that I relate to because I used to go every now and again. She talks about going to the market and getting the Jamaican patties in Luton Market, and it's one of those memories where I was like, yes, because I used to love going to Luton Market, and it had this amazing Jamaican patty stall, and they were the hottest thing known to man. But it was that kind of heat where you just eat it and you'd be like, ah, and then it was gone. So you could eat them because it only burnt for a moment and they were delicious. Again, if that Jamaican patty stall was still there, then let me know, because those were some great Jamaican patties. So she mentions that, that's cool. Anyway, aside from that, you know, our lives are very different. She is of Bangladeshi descent, culturally brought up very Bangladeshi, whereas, you know, I wasn't. So, you know, it's like, you see all those parallels, you're like, oh, cool, yeah, I know where you're from. Oh, yeah, I know that thing. Oh, I relate to that. But so different, which made it really interesting. But her writing is really lovely. And so I was absorbed in it enough where I was like, you know, you're there, you know? So I could understand what it was like to be in her position, which was, yeah, it was sign of good writing in my opinion. So she goes through her life basically in different roles. So she talks about being a daughter, sister, granddaughter, wife, daughter-in-law, ma, and a cook, username, and woman. So she talks about like what all those roles mean, and it slowly meanders through her life. She goes backwards and forwards a bit. One thing that I found very interesting is her talking about the fact that she had an arranged marriage, and it's not something that I've really ever put a great deal of thought into, but so the way that she then describes it, where obviously I've thought about like, oh, if you had to marry somebody you didn't know, that's, you know, an odd thought, but that her talking about, obviously not only that, she then had to go and move in with him a long way from home and become part of his family who she didn't know, and to have to be round at the in-laws and having to help out and you don't know them. I was like, wow, that would be hard. So yeah, just as I say, an interesting insight into another culture, another kind of upbringing, but also very empowering with the idea of all these things that she'd been told, no, you can't do that, or you know, lots of, and being defined by other people a lot, and being able to lead through to where she was able to, you know, have a little bit more empowerment, I suppose. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very positive. I liked throwing my memories back to mid-beds a little bit. She just seems really nice and really interesting. So I really enjoyed that book. Yeah, so, and that was that for March. So I read, what was that, 5 books, not bad. At the moment, I've got 2 on the go. I'm reading on audiobook because I started reading it and then ran out of time, so I've had to be put on a hold list, and then I've got it again. The book that your parents think you should have read and you didn't, and your kids, that one, I don't remember what it's called, but that one. And what's the other one? Oh, an Anita Shreve book called Strange Fits of Passion. So that's what I'm reading at the moment, but I've got a big stack by the side of my bed that I'm going to work through, so we'll see how it goes. Hope you're all doing okay. I'm reading bits with the kids as well, which actually a couple of those, because I've read the entire thing with them, I will include in my wrap up next month, because I have actually read them. Often if I'm reading to the kids, I'll only read a chapter here and there, but these ones I've actually read the entire thing with them. So how are you? What have you been reading? Have you had time to read? Have you read any of these things? What do you think? You know, let's have a chat in the comments. If you like this video, please do hit like. Obviously all my links are below. Oh, and there's affiliate links if you do want to buy any of these below, which means that it doesn't cost you any more, but I get like a little finder's fee thingy. So if you were interested in this or any of these, there are links below that you can follow if you would like to. So there's that. Anyway, yeah, please like if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you're well. Take care. I will see you for another video soon.